Hello everybody and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Welcome back everybody. Today we're going to be reviewing and discussing the new movie called Undertone. The movie follows two horror podcast hosts as they receive a series of disturbing audio recordings that slowly blur the line between curiosity and terror as they try to uncover what's hidden within the sounds. If you're endlessly just walking this earth and throughout this life having nobody to talk to about movies, well, buddy, you have finally found the right place and the right home here. So please consider joining here at ZakIsCinema because we all love talking movies together and nothing worse than not having anybody. So please join me here because I have nobody, okay? But as we jump into this review here, this was definitely a movie that was on my radar, definitely looking forward to it. So without further ado, let's jump into the review section, starting with the positives or just the things that I enjoyed most about this movie. And first, I really just have to praise the concept to this movie. It is such a strong setup for a horror movie that definitely leans more into that psychological approach. It is very much that experience type of horror where the fear comes from the central hook and the atmosphere the movie continues to build around itself. And in this case, I say that as a positive, and I think the approach works really well for the experience that they're going for. This movie follows two podcasters who explore psychological and horror topics, and one of them is more of the believer in this type of stuff, and then one of them plays more of that skeptic kind of role, and their dynamic starts to slowly change when they both receive these mysterious audio file recordings emailed to them and begin listening to them one by one. And just like the marketing kind of warned everybody, I think the thing that stood out to me the most with this movie is just how well the entire movie builds its scares centered around its sound design. The audio isn't just a background element in this movie, it is literally the core foundation behind all the horror, thrills, and scares. And as I was watching this movie, I was trying to figure out the best way to convey what this experience really felt like to me. And the best way I could describe it is it really feels like a mix of found footage horror where the camera is the headphones or audio device in this example, combined with something out of the VHS franchise where each audio file that these characters are listening to almost act like its own creepy short story, and then thrown in there a little dash, a little sprinkle of that screen life kind of format where you have movies like Searching and Unfriended. It's like all of those combined. And while watching it, I think the tension and buildup worked incredibly well. The movie gave me that specific feeling of being left home alone when maybe you're just slightly too young to be really being left home alone, where everything suddenly just kind of feels creepy and every sound feels super uneasy. It taps into that feeling that they reference in the movie called apophenia, where you start to notice and pick up on patterns or start hearing things, hearing sayings in random sounds, kind of convincing yourself that something is there where it might not actually be there. And this movie plays with that really unique idea of apophenia really well in such an effective way. And honestly, it's been a while since I just felt fully engrossed in a psychological horror experience and genuinely felt on edge in a movie I went to go see in the theaters. It only happens a couple times a year, but when it does, my God, does it stand out to me. The movie creates such a quiet, tense atmosphere that makes you always feel like it's building to something or that something could happen at any second. And I would definitely recommend recommend seeing this in a theatrical experience unless you have a really amazing sound system at home, because the sound design definitely benefits from that proper speaker setup. And it reminded me similar to how sound was used in movies like A Quiet Place, where that theater environment kind of becomes part of the movie and the movie experience as well. And my God, I think God finally answered one of my prayers, because this theatrical experience for me when I went to see it was perfect. Not a sound, no one was on their phones. I literally couldn't have asked for a better theatrical experience, which just further elevated this movie for me. And without getting into spoilers, this movie also does some really cool, unique, and creepy things centered around nursery rhymes. For example, like London Bridge is Falling Down or Rockabye Baby, kind of exploring the darker origins behind them. And it almost felt like a creepy story being told to me from another friend at school in the bathroom or something creepy like that, or in the lunch cafeteria room. The kind where you pretend to not be scared in the moment, but then as soon as you go home, you suddenly can't sleep. You're sleeping with a nightlight on. Things like that. It really put me back into a place of ZakIsCinema's life where he was always just on edge and scared. And for this experience with the movie, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And this movie also does a lot of the manipulating the audio itself, at least from the viewer's perspective, where these characters are constantly reversing audio clips. They're slowing them down, distorting them, playing them in repeated cycles. And it slowly, at least, made me feel like I was losing my mind a little bit, losing my grip on what I was actually hearing, and tapping into that apophenia idea where I was starting to hear things but couldn't really be 100% certain if that's actually what the movie was saying, or is that my mind going into a creepy place just trying to make sense of it all, which truly a unique experience that I really enjoyed here. And let's talk about the setting. I think the setting works tremendously well for this movie. It's very contained inside this one single house, which almost adds to the isolation and makes the tension a lot more suffocating. The camera work does a great job here, constantly just spinning around the environment and characters, often revealing dark hallways, corners, or rooms behind our main character here. And it makes you kind of instinctively search the background for something that might not be there, or you think you see something, or you do see something. So I absolutely love when movies do this, and this movie did it perfectly, because this movie isn't just playing tricks on your hearing within its sound design, it's also subtly messing with your eyesight at the same time, which makes the experience that much more unsettling. But with that said, let's jump into my mixed aspects I have for the movie. And for right now, these are going to be kind of mixed, but slightly leaning towards the negative. So like a mixed negative. And like I said earlier, this movie is so much about the overall experience and the atmosphere that it creates. And that is still such a huge positive. But because of that, the film leans so heavily into that experience-driven approach. It also kind of exposes some of its weaknesses within its storytelling. And I think my biggest issue with this movie, without it completely destroying the movie for me, is that the characters are unfortunately pretty thin here. I wish we had gotten more development and a stronger relationship between our two main podcasting hosts, with Evie and Justin. Most of the movie really just follows Evie as she is recording the podcast and deals with taking care of her dying mother. Well, Justin completely exists as just a voice. We never actually see that character on screen, so he's never a really fully realized character, if that makes sense. And I think because of that, their dynamic never really feels all that meaningful. Their conversations don't really feel like two close friends hosting a show together, which makes some of the podcast elements and the scenes, especially early on, a little slow, a little awkward, and I really couldn't grasp if these are just two coworkers, if they're lifelong friends or something. So that was never really made clear, and it's never made clear through the dialogue exchange. And at times I kind of found myself wondering who would even listen to a podcast like this, because it doesn't seem like there is an overarching theme that they kind of cover. Their chemistry feels just like a little flat. Like, it works for the experience that you're going for, but as a movie, there's not really those character dynamics that you get invested to. So that unfortunately felt a little flat when I was thinking about it after I watched it. And without getting into spoilers, I had very mixed feelings on the ending, at least after this first watch. It is not bad in any means, and it definitely fits the tone and the vibe the movie has always been going for, but it almost felt like the movie was building towards something a little bit bigger, like a bigger reveal, a slight twist that never fully arrives, because the story itself is fairly minimal, and I think that's okay, but I think at the same time you still have to put in a stronger twist, some kind of recontextualization or revelation of events that would have made the ending a little bit more satisfying. It's kind of like when you eat like a really good dinner, but there's no small little dessert afterwards. The dinner was still perfect, fulfilling, and satisfying, but you feel like you're missing a slight element, and then you go to bed kind of upset, maybe a little watery-eyed, because you know that it could have been better with one simple addition. So with that said, I will say that overall, Undertone is an unsettling, sound-driven horror experience that uses eerie audio design and psychological tension to create genuine fear. Even if its thin story and underdeveloped characters keep it from reaching its full potential. So for my rating for this movie, this is kind of a difficult one where I 100% want to own this because I do have a pretty decent speaker setup. I would love just shutting off all the lights, sitting in my apartment home alone, watching this movie, or putting on some really cool headphones while watching it on my TV. I want to do that, and I want to own it on physical media. Just as a movie, I don't know how many times I'm gonna go and rewatch that. So for my rating, I'd want to kind of keep it as buying it on physical media, but at a pretty discounted price. But definitely worth your time here, especially in a theater setting. So you guys have my thoughts here. Please let me know if you checked out the movie Undertone. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on this movie. What'd you think about it? Did you agree with me? Do you heavily disagree with me? Are you more mixed on the experience, kind of like I was, but still leaning significantly positive? Let me know all that information down below here, but that's about it. I appreciate anybody watching my videos. It means so much to me, so thanks again. And yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.